most people have no idea what it would be like to invent something new. So a lot of what they're doing is really not that.
Is AI going to be too big of a change? So
I don't think so, no. I mean, look, 20 years from now, I'll be having the same conversation with you about AI, and I'll say, yeah, we wasted the last 20 years just doing AI, and there's so much other cool stuff. But that's the toolkit that has the most potential right now. You know, we invent these tools, we bring them to life. We have to go through that maturation process of learning to wield the tools in a productive way. Figured out how to use it in the way that's most beneficial and with the least downside.
So if we have millions of ideas coming out of AI, and if we have better systems to test them, what is the role of the human innovator in that new world?
Human innovator needs to know what's worth doing. I mean, there's a lot, even if you have a new material of some description, it's going to go into an ecosystem. It's going to go into a complex environment where there's a whole bunch of trade-offs.
Yeah.
And you know, the humans really need to take responsibility for deciding which of those trade-offs are worth it. We have the most people, we have the most educated people, we have the most money, we have the least poverty, we have the least violence. Like, what excuse could you possibly come up with for not building a more awesome future right now?
Pablos Holman, is that how you pronounce your name?
Oh yeah.
Dude, I am so stoked to talk to you right now. And I think before this interview, I was saying, I actually need you to invent something new where our brains will run 50% faster and we can...
You know, a weird thing that happened is I started listening to podcasts on like 2x, and then I started talking faster and faster. And then the other thing that happened is all my friends, because a lot of the podcasts are like people I know, but then when you hang out with them in real life, they sound like idiots because they're not talking as fast as you. So you can totally learn to listen at high speed and to, but for me it cranked me up, so I had to back off on that because I started talking too fast.
Well, this reminds me, one of my pet peeves is if someone is talking too slow.
Yeah.
Like 20 or 30%.
Especially if you know what they're going to say.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for the audience that will see this, I want to make sure they appreciate your background. So you've been involved with over 6,000 patents. So
at our lab, our team got
your team
6,000 patents on essentially deep tech inventions. Yeah.
So I'd love for you to bring us kind of through your journey quickly in a few minutes.
Sure.
So how you finished college? What did you study? What did you go
I didn't
into?
go to college.
Even better.
We can skip that part.
Okay.
I grew up in Alaska. Got a computer as a kid.
Yeah.
Learned a lot about it because there was nothing else to do. And then spent the first part of my career kind of trying to put computers in lots of places and advance computer technology. And so and then by like the early 90s, it was trying to build the internet. And then by the late 90s, I was trying to do cryptocurrency. And then in 2000, or by 2000, we were doing AI for the stock market. And then after that, I sort of moved on from advanced computers and used computers to advance other technologies.
Okay.
And so we started Blue Origin in 2001, and then after that I worked on the lab we were talking about, which is called Intellectual Ventures, and we tried to figure out if we could just find a way to invest in invention.
Okay.
And so we built a big invention lab, and we worked on every kind of problem and every kind of invention and every kind of science, and that was kind of a large-scale invention operation. And now I run a venture fund, and I invest in other inventors.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the shortest intro I've ever been able to do, or synopsis. Yeah.
That's great, considering the experience. So you recently wrote this book, Deep Future, and one of the things I like about it is you kind of call attention to not all innovation is great. So I think innovation is a catch-all term, and a lot of what we put in that, a lot of what gets caught in that bucket is not actually new technology, it's not actually new inventions, it's not actually moving the needle on human potential. And why is that? What's the root cause to?
I think a big part of it is most people have no idea what it would be like to invent something new. So a lot of what they're doing is really not that. And then once in a while you get something that's so generally applicable that it sort of overwhelms everything. So in our lifetime, that's been software. Software is generally applicable. You can put it in everything and get some utility out of it. And so we just kind of got drunk on software. And for 25 years, we think we have this big tech industry, but it's really just a big software industry. And so we've been, putting software everywhere and everywhere and everywhere. And that's really cool. I love that. Nobody really loves software more than me, but it has steered us away from investing in any other kind of technology. And all the things that are big opportunities and like big problems in the world and big industries in the world, almost all of them are not things you could radically improve with just software. And so they're being neglected. So in my mind, there's just so much more potential in technology than you can feel or understand if your lens is just software.
The thought I have listening to you is you have low risk bets and high risk bets. So
Okay.
a low risk bet is, let's say there's a startup pitching in the Bay Area. They got some growth metrics on some stupid e-commerce LLM,
Sure.
and that's a great bet. You have something like SpaceX
Yep.
early on,
High risk bet.
very high risk bet. So is this a key issue with investors, that most investors are not deep tech, or most investors don't?
The reason it's called venture capital is there's supposed to be some Shackleton in it. The reason we have venture capital is a way to do high risk bets. You're taking a bigger swing. You're going after some bigger payoff. That's why we structure it the way it is.
And you're signed up for the 90% failure rate. So,
that's right. So you put $100 million across 10 startups, and one of them is going to pay for all the failures. That's the power law. That's what venture is for. What happened in the SaaS holes era is we sort of just took that model, aimed it at software projects, which have no real technical risk anymore. And because of that, they can't bring a new technology to the market. What they have instead is market risk. So any iPhone app you can draw on a napkin, we can make it. Probably vibe code it this weekend. But what we don't know is whether somebody's going to pay to use it.
Yeah.
So software companies are taking no technical risk. In general, they're taking massive market risk because you don't know if somebody's going to make a Zoom killer or a Slack killer next week or something. So they have taking on infinite market risk. And what they're looking for in those metrics, those user growth metrics and stuff, is did this guy win? Did this guy beat out everybody else to get the growth curve?
Do they have the network and access?
Whatever it is. So in deep tech, we're doing the opposite. I'm taking on technical risk early on. Can this new technology get out of the lab, into a startup, into the world? But at the end of that, I'm usually going after vast industrial markets for which there never was any market risk. A good example of that, I think, is we have a company trying to make self-sailing cargo ships.
Okay.
Now, that's not even very deep tech. The self-autonomous part of it is pretty easy. You just duct tape a Tesla to the front of a ship and there's like one documented pedestrian ever, nothing to hit out there, you're good to go. So that tech is pretty easy to understand. The sailing part has been working for centuries, so even that is also pretty low risk technically. But nobody believes it, it's crazy, the shipping industry doesn't pay attention to this stuff. So you could say, I'm taking on technical risk, can I build this ship? But the day that first ship sails, I'm entering a $2 trillion industry. Anybody who can move containers around can get paid to do it. Like there's no market risk. And so one of the big differences when you're investing in these things or working on them.
Yeah, so software is kind of a red ocean where there's not really, if you get past the technical hurdle.
I also think, the other thing I wrote in the book about this is if you add up all of the software companies in the world, Microsoft, Meta, Google, all combined, their revenues are a little over $2 trillion a year. I just told you the shipping industry is $2 trillion a year.
Yeah.
Global GDP is over $100 trillion a year. So Silicon Valley, which we're also obsessed with and we read about in the news every day, is doing 2% of what humans rely on. The rest of that other 98%, that's food, that's manufacturing, mining, construction, energy, manufacturing. These are things every human on earth relies on, and you will not make them 10 times better with software. You make them 1 or 2 or 10% better maybe, but you're not going to make them 10 times better. And if you get a new invention, a new technology that could make those things 10 times better, and we do every day, we could do that for almost all those things, that's moving the needle. And so I just think the biggest opportunities in the world, those are all two $2 to $4 trillion industries, and energy's 15 trillion. So I think, these guys who say they're doing venture are doing something a little more like, I don't know, it's not venture, it's a trip to Pottery Barn or something, like it's not, it's not meaningful. So we are setting our sights too low. That's why.
So, and this is an annoying criticism of some venture groups, is they're trying to pattern match on the past.
Right,
and everything
exactly.
you just described.
Why, that's not venture, that's like PE light.
PE light.
Yeah.
I like that.
PE light.
So I imagine someone like you spin internally about the future a lot, and so I think it could be really fun for us to lean into what is the future of the human innovator, and I'll give you a quick preview. So in the next year or two, there's a really good chance that we're going to see new materials and new breakthroughs, innovations being suggested from AI. And so
I've seen every day.
So if we have millions of ideas coming out of AI, and if we have better systems to test them, what is the role of the human innovator in that new world?
Well, I think the human innovator needs to know what's worth doing. I mean, there's a lot, even if you have a new material of some description, it's going to go into an ecosystem. It's going to go into a complex environment where there's a whole bunch of trade-offs.
Yeah.
And the humans really need to take responsibility for deciding which of those trade-offs are worth it, right? And you need to have some point of view on what world you want, what future you want to build.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you're going to end up with predictably bad results. And we always have examples of that. Right now we have predictably bad results out of things like the way social media has played out. We're not happy with the results. It doesn't have to be the way it is, but that's just what we let happen to us.
Well, and to kind of step on this is devastating because you have a lot of teenagers that are trapped in dopamine addiction. Humans did not evolve to handle this level of...
Not yet, right.
Not yet, so will that ever be fixed?
I think dopamine addiction actually is a good way of thinking about it because it is very much an addiction. And all of these things, you could think of them as like big challenges for humans to level up. And every other kind of addiction, whether it's alcohol or cigarettes or snorting coke or whatever it is, you have a distribution of how people handle it. Some people, try it once, they're like, nope, not for me, moving on. Other people lose 10 years of their life to it and need rehab, and they're like, holy shit, how do I get my life back? Either way, you have to learn to develop a more mature relationship with that problem or with that challenge, or even you could even say tool. Like right now we're putting kids on methamphetamines for ADHD or whatever, and for some of them it's really helpful, for some of them it's way too much, and and so you have to, every technology is like that. It has a developmental life cycle, and we live in one moment along that route, but along the way you have to learn how much is too little, how much is too much, how much is helpful for me. And you go through these cycles. So we're like in junior high with social media, still quite immature. We're not even in preschool with AI. But look, there are much worse things. We're well past retirement with fire and hammers and things that can kill people for real. So society can learn, and people can learn to take responsibility for maturing our relationship with these tools, but it takes time, and we're very impatient about that. And there is collateral damage, and you want to be very compassionate with the people who are suffering through it, but you can't escape the fact that we are on this life cycle that has to go through these maturation cycles, and people don't want to acknowledge that, and they don't want to take responsibility for that, but that's what's happening either way.
So change is hard, change hurts. For the individual, and we've gone through these epics.
And for society.
And for society, we've gone through these epics, the Industrial Revolution, et cetera. Is AI going to be too big of a change?
I don't think so, no. I mean, look, 20 years from now, I'll be having the same conversation with you about AI, and I'll say, we wasted the last 20 years just doing AI, and there's so much other cool stuff. But that's the toolkit that has the most potential right now. We invent these tools, we bring them to life. We have to go through that maturation process of learning to wield the tools in a productive way for generations, honestly. It takes generations to say, okay, we overdid it. Look, 50 years from now, social media will not be a problem that we argue about any more than we argue about hammers.
Well, it will know so much about the brain and development.
We'll have figured out how to use it in the way that's most beneficial and with the least downside. And that's like the first, 10,000 years of hammers was probably just smashing heads. Like, this is cool, we can smash heads so much better now, we have hammers. And then eventually, now we like build a lot more homes and smash a lot less heads. And so I just think sort of lazy and irresponsible for our computer nerd philosophers to be saying that, oh, we're not going to handle it this time, and to scare the shit out of people, because the truth is we invent these tools, we learn to use them, we use them, we will build our future with whatever tools we have. That's self-fulfilling. So right now we have the most advanced toolkit in all of human history. We have the most people, we have the most educated people, we have the most money, we have the least poverty, we have the least violence. Like, what excuse could you possibly come up with for not building a more awesome future right now? We have everything. So that's what we're going to do. And along the way, because of that cycle and because people are immature and we overdo it, there's definitely like a game being played, and you could, in one lifetime, you could definitely lose that game. Your odds of losing are much better if you don't play the game. But if you play the game, and you have some volition in this, we all vote with our lives, with our attention, with our resources. And so we have a chance to build something here. And I'm super excited about it.
It sounds like you're more in the utopia camp.
I don't know that I'm in the utopia camp, but I say I'm a possibilist. I'm not necessarily. I'm definitely not a pessimist. People think I'm an optimist, but I'm saying, look, it is probably possible the future could suck more than it has. But it is also absolutely possible that the future could be way more awesome. And I think the balance is us. The balance is just us. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to build? Are we going to sit here and spend our days, listening to people pontificate about whether NVIDIA is maxed out or it's going to collapse and a bubble's going to explode? Or are we just going to go build some cool shit? We got 8 billion people. We can waste like a dozen of them on conjecture about the future of NVIDIA. But everybody else should just go build some cool shit and you'll have a much better life. That's what I think.
So there's a theme that comes up all the time, and it's the concept of the hero's journey. So you have the idea, you go into the chaos, you come back changed. And one of the things you said off camera that I really liked is there's a scenario where AI can be our life coach. It can tell you when to wake up, what to eat. You have a plate full of kale. Tells you what to say to your partner. Tells you what job to have. And in that story, there's no hero.
Yeah, there's no hero.
And I think you and I mentioned off camera that'd be devastating.
Yeah, it'd be devastating because the thing is, people eventually, maybe they don't all learn, but certainly you would hope that they would learn at some point, like, your fate is in your hands. Like, you have to decide for yourself what you care about, what life you want, what world you want to build and leave to your descendants.
Well, and I also like the idea, because to be a hero, there has to be some chaos, risk of failure, and some irrationality.
Probably right.
Behind it. So, like, if you think of us being
one thing I used to describe, because we're always talking about inventions, is nobody ever invented a new technology by reading the directions. Now, we don't exactly have like the directions or like the handbook for how to be a human. There are a bunch of attempts at that, and lots of people are willing to tell you, like, do it this way, but nobody's ever figured out like the right way.
But AI might really help.
AI might help, but the way to think about it is like, this is a tool to help you figure out how to get the life you want, right? Now, if you don't know what that is, probably should start there. Like, figure out, like, what do you care about? What matters to you? Like, what matters to you and what matters to you the most? Those are the questions. You start there. Like, do you care about stray cats? Do you care about orphans starving in Ethiopia? Do you care about like remote control cars or rockets or jets? Who knows? Like, just pick anything that you think you care about. Make a list of those things. Put them on sticky notes, and then try to put the notes in order. Like, what do you care about the most? Put it at the top. It's hard.
Yeah.
And what you'll realize right away is that, okay, now I got 100 sticky notes, and then you just divide how many hours a week do you have, divide that by how many sticky notes you have, and you're going to end up with like, okay, I got like 1 hour a week to work on each thing I care about. How many things has anybody ever markedly improved in their lifetime with 1 hour a week? Like probably not any. So start throwing out sticky notes. That's the hard part. But like, okay, you're not going to do anything about starving kids in Africa. Fine. Throw out that sticky note. You weren't going to move the needle anyway. It's not. I'm not trying to say it doesn't matter, but you weren't going to help. So get rid of all the things you're not helping with, and try to get it down to 3. Like you could maybe move the needle on 2 or 3 things in your lifetime if you focus on them. So get those things figured out and make sure you know what they are. And then that's the exercise, is to free you up. It's to free you up and say, okay, now that you know what those top 3 things are, you're gonna dedicate yourself to moving the needle on those things, and you're gonna let other people take the other ones. And that way you will not waste your life. You will not waste your vote. You will not render yourself ineffective by diluting your attention. And I think that's what's happening so much, is people are online getting wound up about whatever bullshit is on the news tonight. And it's not that there's more problems in the world, it's just that we're better at reporting them.
Well, it's the classic FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Like so the stuff that's being fed to you is the stuff that consumes you.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. So I think the way to deal with this is don't give your attention to what seeks you. Save it for what you seek.
Yeah.
So in the morning, don't go to a feed that's force feeding you. Just go to Google, and there's a little box, and just think, okay, I'm feeling lucky. What interests me? What do I care about? What's my top 3 sticky notes? What is it in my life that matters? Go search for that. Go read about that. Go learn about that. Go research that. Go do whatever you focus your attention on what you cared about, said you cared about, and that's not that hard of a change, but we don't learn that, we don't teach that, that's not a normal thing. None of your iPhone apps do that for you. So this is the kind of thing where people have to start taking responsibility for their own time, attention, life, resources, and aim it at something they care about. And I'm not trying to tell people what it is. I mean, I have opinions, but...
Well, I love I see every human as a random vector.
Okay.
And I like the idea of them... We're a random vector in the universe, and I like the idea of them maximizing that. We could make fun of what they're maximizing it on, but I want them to maximize.
Yeah, right.
So what future technology that doesn't exist are you the most excited by? Well, I'll start. I want Jarvis from Iron Man.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think you're going to get that, something close to that.
Yeah. So what,
it's actually interesting if you extrapolate what that means, right? Think about how many times you've had an idea for something that you didn't have the time, the money, the skills, the help to do. Like, I have ideas for like music videos. I've never made a music video.
It's never been easier.
I could probably figure it out, but like, I don't know. I've watched music videos. Same with movies. I have ideas for movies. I have ideas for books. I'm not gonna write them. But I have those ideas, but they're too intensive. I have ideas for infomercial products. Like, to me, that's the highest American art form. So, but I know that the world doesn't need me to do any of those things. Like, I'm not heavily invested in the skill set to do it. There's other people who are better at all those things than me. Even if the kernel, even if my idea was good, I wouldn't have the resources, and if I wasted my time doing that, it'd be taking me away from those top 3 stickies in my life, right? So I can't do all those things. But imagine if you have Jarvis. And it's like, hey man, I'm gonna go to work and do the thing I'm good at, but while I'm at work, could you just, prototype this infomercial product I invented, and come up with some designs, make a dozen of them, run simulations, figure out which one is cheapest and most manufacturable, farm it out to some 3D printer in Asia, have it printed for me, get me a few prototypes that I can try by the time I get home from work. And then now it's like, holy shit, imagine if all these people could do that. Like, all of us could do that. That's where we're going.
Well, this feels like humanity maximized, because we live in tech, but what you described, my tech fraction becomes smaller. I'm actually fishing. I'm running. We're having a wine, talking about some bullshit, and that sounds great. But right now, we get consumed by the tech race.
Well, that's very human stuff you described. And even in my example, I'm still the one in charge. I'm still taking responsibility for saying what should be made. This very important infomercial product should be made. I'm aiming Jarvis at that. But I'm not telling Jarvis, like, by the time I get home, give me 12 ideas for infomercial products.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing that.
So I'm going to do something a little silly right now. I'm going to anthropomorphize Jarvis. Jarvis needs your validation. So Jarvis is starting to come up with ideas. And Jarvis likes it. So there's that feedback loop.
So that likes it thing is very important, right? This is the crux of the entire argument about Jarvis, which is when Jarvis likes something, where did that objective function come from? Did I tell Jarvis what to like? Did OpenAI teach Jarvis what to like? Did Jarvis go rogue and come up with his own idea about what to like? And so that's the fundamental thing. I am 100% on the side that we, at the end of the day, need to take responsibility for the objective function.
I think that's...
What does Jarvis like? It's what we like.
Yes.
It's what we told it we like.
I really like that because I think it adds some anchoring that is important. I could easily talk to you forever. What are some things we haven't talked about that you'd like to hit on before you wrap up? Any other concepts or ideas?
Oh man, the thing is, people are pissed off. We live in a world where things are sort of very agitated in lots of ways at the same time, and that can be true. You know, like there is, I'm not saying that there aren't things that suck. There's lots that sucks, for sure. But I think a path forward for people is find something that doesn't suck, something that you think is awesome or could be awesome, and just try to focus yourself more and more on that. You know, there's like the things that suck are still going to suck, so you don't really have to worry about them. The things that are awesome require some attention. They require some work. They require, you know, our effort to grow them. And I try to show in the book like a whole bunch of examples of technologies that technically are science fiction right now, but that are totally possible to build, that people are working on building, and that could make a big difference at making some of the things that currently suck a lot less. So I think, you know, because of what I do, I get to see a lot of these technologies very early and these inventions early, and so I try to share them so people have more of a little bit of a cognitive dissonance. Like, okay, things suck, but Pablos has a whole arsenal of cool shit coming, so maybe it won't suck so bad. You know, that can help you have a more possibilist view of what's coming and how the future could go.
Well, and I think it's so fun that you know there's going to be new ideas tomorrow, ideas that you've never thought of, that show up, and the likelihood of them happening is, I could not believe when ChatGPT happened. I was so shocked.
Oh, interesting.
Like I did not anticipate
fascinating
fine-tuning of an LLM. Do you feel, is technology ahead of schedule for you, or did you feel like it's on track?
I don't have a dog in the LLM fight, but I think I was less surprised because I am kind of a computational maximalist. I think more compute will get you somewhere. I honestly think we could have taken some shitty AI algorithms from the 80s, and if we threw that much computation at them, we'd still get some pretty staggering results. So the miracle of OpenAI really was that they rallied enough compute to prove it.
Yeah, and I heard someone say without the transformer we could still get there, but we would have just needed more compute.
More compute, No, I wouldn't have guessed right about when it was going to happen, because that was really I mean, the cool thing about what happened with GPT was that, you know, some of these folks had enough of a experience at Google where they had a lot of compute to convince themselves that, oh, more compute on this is going to get us somewhere. And then in OpenAI, they were able to convince themselves that it was worth pursuing, and they rallied enough compute to really prove it. And so that, I think, you know, that is to me the most important thing about what happened at OpenAI. Since then, now we're all convinced, and I love that because now the world is investing finally, because we really weren't investing in compute. We were lazy with Moore's law. We were just satisfied with Moore's law, and Moore's law is a cop-out. You know, Moore's law was Intel's roadmap. They're just like, oh, we'll just make them twice as fast every 2 years and sell people new chips. Done. That's a cop-out. You know, we don't live in that world. We were doubling the compute capacity for a given chip every 2 years, and we were making more chips, so you could say we're growing the compute capacity of the world, but those chips were in isolation. You know, they were sitting in a pocket waiting for a Tinder notification. That compute wasn't doing anything. The compute we have now has extreme high-speed backplanes. Like, it's all connected. It's all running full tilt 24/7. it's not Moore's law, it's Jensen's law. Like
Yeah.
we're in a world where, like last year,
I think that should get traction, Jensen's law.
because this is a different class of compute. This compute
Yeah.
is working for us. When I wrote the book, end of last year, I added up all the supercomputers in the world. 7 exaflops of computation. Now, this is less than a year later, NVIDIA ships a cabinet the size of your fridge that's 1 exaflop. Thousands and thousands and thousands of. We live in a zetaflop world. In 1 year, we went from exaflop world to zetaflop world.
Yeah.
3 orders of magnitude in compute
Yeah.
in 1 year. That's what happened, and with like plans to grow. So what does that mean? I don't think it's about chatting. That's like the least interesting thing of all that we're going to do with this. We're going to use these AIs to model our world, and we're going to use them to run simulations on how to find a better world that we could build, and then we're going to build it.
Yeah.
And we're going to do that in every industry, and that's why I'm so lit up. And I should probably get caffeinated and have some lunch now. Thanks for listening to me rant.
No, this is great. And you've given a lot of things that I think are really sticking. I love Jensen's law. I love the idea of the human hero controlling the rubric of success.
Yeah.
Because it's not, we can easily imagine a life that AI would take control of.
Yeah. If you give it control, or if you let somebody take it from you, which is what happened in social media.
Well, actually, that would be fascinating to kind of see AI describe what its definition of a great life, and then have you and I react to that and realize, like,
I don't actually think that's interesting.
yeah. Well, it's the uniqueness,
once
right?
you know, like when you know what's behind it, you know how these LLMs work. Like that's not wisdom.
Yeah. Well, it's
collected.
It's patterns.
It's collected from what humans have done.
Yeah.
And if there's a human out there who's living a life that you're inspired by, and most people do amalgamate like some inspiration from different people they know, and they put that together into the life that's right for them. And so I think that's the way to do it, and maybe an AI might help surface or discover people who've succeeded at the things you care about, and or strategies and all that. I'm not against any of that.
Yeah.
I just think if you relinquish responsibility for it
Yeah.
to the AI, then you're going to get predictably terrible results.
So for the listeners, how can your book, Deep Future, they can find that online, how else can they follow your journey with what you're doing?
Yeah, so I have a podcast called Deep Future. The book is called Deep Future. And I try to bring these things together and just share the technologies that are coming, the problems that can be solved. So in the book, a lot of it's about how we can bring these things to life. So if you're interested in that, it's a fun book. You don't need a PhD to read it. Like it's a book about like why and how these things are possible. And there's a whole bunch of people seem to like the stories from my weird career that are in there. So that's kind of what's in the book. And then my email list is only things that I write. No, AI doesn't write any of this stuff. I write every single thing we send out, and I only do it when I have something that I think is meaningful to share. And so, yeah, the email list is pretty good too.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, that's a wrap. Much appreciated.
Yeah,
I'm glad it
thanks.
worked out.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.